So MB asked me to introduce Bobby tonight, and I thought, wow, that's an easy deal because everybody here pretty much knows Bobby. I mean, what's the gig? Nobody, why do you need to introduce Bobby? And I realized that probably that was the most difficult task there was, because if you look at all the list of what Bobby has done, we'd be here all night. So I figured just to give you a little insight on Bobby, and I've gotten to know Bobby over all the years of Celebrity Ski Fest and starting to get involved with Waterkeeper, and I've had the privilege of traveling with him quite a bit and getting to know him as a close personal friend. But I can tell you, when you hear him speak tonight, and the passion and the enthusiasm that he has for Waterkeeper, and the knowledge and the detail, he carries that through into every aspect of his life, from his falconry, to his writing, to his kids, to his work with some of the other things that he's doing with the, help me out, what's the Mercury, thank you. So he really does carry that level of enthusiasm and that passion and that incredible detail and knowledge to everything he does. I kid you not, even recreating. So without further ado, Bobby Kennedy, President and leader of this organization.
Thank you. I want to thank, on behalf of all of us, Bob Wheaton and the entire staff, the drivers, and the service people, and all the people who've been so kind to us since we came here and gave us this amazing food. We prepped a lot of you for this trip with that Boulder conference where we served only mashed potatoes. So we knew you would be grateful. And we want to thank Pete Nichols for the menu. We finally found out who it was. Pete Nichols, show them who you are, Pete. Thank you for the mashed potatoes. I'm 63 years old, and I made a vow to myself that a while ago that I wasn't going to hang out with people that I didn't like. Because I spent a lot of my life doing that. That's what you do if you're in politics. You hang out with people you don't like. And as soon as you leave politics, those people are not your friends anymore. But the great thing about this profession and this career I've had, this avocation, is that every day of my life I spend with people that I like, that I love, that I admire, and that I'm interested in. And all of them have the same virtues of curiosity and compassion and courage and character. Because you can't do this work if you don't have those things. If you don't believe in something bigger than yourself and you're willing to give your life for it. And all of you have taken a stretch of water and said, I'm going to spend the energy of my life saving this stretch of water for the rest of humanity. And it's an extraordinarily noble commitment. And so I want to thank all of you for being part of this big family, and just to tell you how much I enjoy being with you. But there's nobody whose company I enjoy more than Blessing Stern and Peppy. And I spent a lot of time with him doing whitewater, skiing all over this mountain, and I can't tell you how much I admire you and how grateful I am for your commitment to this movement, for your wisdom, and most of all, for your friendship, which I treasure. You're an amazing, amazing man. You don't need to be doing this. You've taken this incredible resort, probably the best ski resort in America, and again turned it over to Waterkeepers at various times of the year. This is where we have our big ski event. which is now the #1 ski event on television in the world. And that's because of Les. So thank you very much, Les. And let's all raise our glass. I want to say one thing about a visionary who was my mentor, who passed away this year, which was Bob Doyle, who all of you who've heard me speak about the ideology of the Waterkeeper movement know that I talk a lot about Bob Doyle. And Bob Doyle had a vision. You know, he wrote the definitive book on the Hudson River. He was an incredible naturalist. He was an extraordinary historian and writer. He was the outdoor editor of Sports Illustrated for 65 years. And in his book on the Hudson River, he had been salmon fishing in England. And he had seen the private salmon fishing streams had riverkeepers on them. And he said, in the United States, we need to have a riverkeeper, but not protecting the private interest, but protecting the public interest. And we need that on every river and stream and lake in the United States, and we need it on every waterway in the world. And I don't think that he had any notion that that would ever happen. He was a very, very tough guy. He was, in some cases, a very angry man. I used to tell him he was a well-balanced Irishman because he had a chip on both shoulders. And during the Storm King fight, the Storm King lawsuit lasted for 20 years. And at the end of it, we finally won, and we stopped the Storm King battle, and Bob had picked a fight, and he fought it, and a guy from the New York Times called him, and finally Con Edison, the utility that was going to build this huge, terrible pump storage facility, finally conceded and agreed they wouldn't build it. Reporter from the New York Times called Bob Doyle up on the phone, and he said, "How do you feel? How do you feel? You won this victory of 20 years. And Bob said, how do I feel? Well, if this were a war, a real war, I'd be out on the battlefield slaying the wounded. So that was his attitude towards the looters. And he was a great man. I ended up fighting with him for the last 20 years of his life. He tried to fire me. He did fire John Cronin. But I never said a bad word about him. His great asset was his charm, and his great asset was, and his great charm was that he was a curmudgeon. He had a photographic memory, and he remembered every single person who'd ever done anything bad to the Hudson. He knew their address, he knew their children's name, and he wanted to destroy them. He got mad at me, and he got mad at John Cronin, and he fired John Cronin, he tried to fire me, and I ended up winning that battle, thank God. But they were always, the press was always trying to get me to say something bad about him, and I never would. And finally, a reporter from the Westchester papers said, tell me, really how do you feel about Bob? And I said, Bob's charm was that he was a curmudgeon, and he got increasingly charming with age. Anyway, we all owe him a tribute. You are his vision, and I'm sure now he's gone to whatever purgatory, gone through whatever purgatory they sent him to, and he's mad. He's looking at us. He's really proud of what we created because we are his vision. So thank you, Bob, wherever you are. I want to recognize one really extraordinary. If we had a Riverkeeper of the Year or Waterkeeper of the Year award, it would go to this guy right here, Fred Smith. Fred, will you stand up? And Fred is one of the Bahamas Waterkeeper. He is also he's the most important lawyer in the Bahamas. He's the head of the Human Rights Commission for the Bahamas. But he's been our lawyer for the Waterkeeper down in the Bahamas since the beginning. And I was involved in a battle down there years ago, and he got involved in this, and he got involved. You can sit down now, Fred. So come on up here. If any of you guys, there's a reef in the Bahamas off of Nassau, and it's probably the most famous reef, arguably, the most famous reef in the world outside of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. This reef is a huge mountainous elkhorn and staghorn coral reef where it's like walking through a forest, like a rainforest, where the trees are 20, 30, 40 feet up, these magnificent structures. And they filmed Octopussy there, they filmed Dr. No, they filmed Cocoon, they filmed Flip. There's been over, I think, 62 films have been made on that coral reef, so everybody in the world knows it. And this bastard, whose name is Peter Nygaard, who is a billionaire apparel tycoon from Canada, decided he has on Lyford Key Point, right adjacent to this beautiful reef, he has a piece of property, but it wasn't big enough for him, so he bought a dredge, and he just dredged up that coral reef and doubled the size of his property. And then he built a structure there that looks like it was at Mad Max Thunderdome. You know, there's fires going out of dragons' mouths and Mayan temples. It's hideous. Am I lying about that? Am I exaggerating? It is the weirdest place you've ever seen. And it was illegal what he's doing. So Fred sued him. But Nygaard gave $6 million to the Prime Minister Christie. How do I know that? Because Nygaard told me that. Then I went to Prime Minister Christie, and I said, and I thought he was going to deny it. I said, he told me that you won't do anything to stop this because he gave you $6 million. And he turns to his aide and he said, I thought it was only $4 million. He must have shorted it. It's a true story. And they came after Fred and his funder, a wonderful guy who lives down there, who cares for the environment, Louis Bacon, who's funded many of our programs. They went after him. They sent police thugs wearing ski masks, baklavas into his home, handcuffed all of his workers to radiators and to pipes, and removed this gang of rogue cops, removed all the pictures of his children from his home, just to show him. They cut the wires and the electricities to his home. They put a contract out on Fred. He had to leave the island. They bugged his phone and they hacked it. The government of the Bahamas hacked his email and they read his emails on the floor of Parliament. And then he got inside information that was absolutely reliable. And then, of course, it was in the papers all over the world. And it was Save the Bay's emails and Fred Smith's personal emails. And Fred then sued him, won the suit in front of the judge, and they tried to put the judge in jail. Is that right? It went out to the judge. And they tried to put him in jail, and he found out from the government that the plan was to put him in jail and then arrange his suicide at night. So he walks, when he goes to the Bahamas, he has 10 bodyguards with Uzis and other guns. He can't go back there without them. He went and hid on one of the islands of the Bahamas. He flew out to Miami, but then from there, he arranged the takeover of the government of the Bahamas. And this year, about 2 months ago, because of this guy, one guy, the government of the Bahamas was thrown out and his people were let in. And he named the Minister of the Environment, and he's named the other ministers as well. And Fred, our riverkeeper, is running the Bahamas. So if you want to go there, so he is riverkeeper of the year this year, waterkeeper of the year. And thank you, Fred, for being an example to all of us. Okay, now let me give my long speech. For all of us, we're all part of this battle. I said this a couple of years ago when I spoke to you. We are in the middle, and we are at the front lines of a civil war. And we're at an inflection point now in American history and global history, where we are transitioning from old energy, from dinosaur energy, from you burn rocks and burn and poison yourselves and poison the planet, to a new form of energy, from the dirty, filthy, poisonous, addictive, warmongering fuels from hell that we've been relying on since 1760, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, now to the clean, green, wholesome, patriotic fuels from heaven. And we're winning. As I said last night or 2 nights ago, we have reached the tipping point. And all of us are involved because water and power are intertwined. You cannot separate those two issues. You look at any of the big pollution issues, and almost all of the big ones involve energy, whether it's fracking, whether it's Fukushima, whether it's the Gulf oil spill, whether it's bomb trains, or all of the issues that we deal with. They're energy issues. They're intertwined. You can't separate them. If we're going to save our water, we need to save the energy. Of course, if you have unlimited free energy from the sun, you can also make fresh water from the ocean, and you can fertilize deserts. So all of this is about who's going to control this energy system. Is it going to be a democratized system that everybody owns a part of, or are we going to continue to be part of this petro-state that by its nature is authoritarian, it's tyrannical, it's oligarchical? And that's the war that we're fighting. And it's a civil war, it's a clash between these two economic models. And we are at the front line of that. Now, Amory Lovins, who's the best, the greatest, most visionary environmental economist in the world, showed me 2 pictures recently. And there are 2 pictures that were taken 10 years apart in New York City from the same vantage point, 38th Street, looking up 5th Avenue. Both of them were taken on Easter Sunday. One of them was taken on Easter Sunday, 1903. And in that picture, looking north on 5th Avenue, there's a 100-horse buggy, and there's 1 automobile. 10 years later, in 1913, a photo from the exact same vantage point on Easter Sunday shows 100 automobiles and 1 horse and buggy. And the buggy makers never saw it coming. And why did that happen? It happened because Henry Ford dropped the price of the Model T Ford by 67% over a 13-year period. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters? We have dropped the price of solar power 80% in 5 years. Wow. 80% in the 5 years before that. Oh, you know that when I'm off duty at Waterkeeper, I'm part of a group of a venture capital firm that funds green energy. We were the biggest funder for Tesla. We built the 2 biggest solar power plants in America, so I know what a solar power plant costs. The Ivanpah plant, which we built in the Mojave Desert 8 years ago, cost $3.5 billion a gigawatt. Well, today, coal costs $3 to $5 billion a gigawatt. Oil, $3 to $5 billion. Gas, $3 to $5 billion. Nuclear, $9 to $15 billion. We can make energy burning prime rib if we wanted. But if you believe in markets, you have to believe that we're going to start using the cheapest form of energy. And since we built that Ivanpah plant 8 years ago, the price of solar energy has dropped to, in this country, to $1 a watt, which comes out to $1 billion a gigawatt, compared to 3 to 5 for coal. There will never be a coal-burning power plant built in this country again. Even India, I mean, Donald Trump says he's going to bring back coal jobs, but that would take the most massive economic intervention in the history of mankind. There's no coal miner who is going to get a job because he walked away from the clean power plant. You know, there are people who are going to benefit. It's the big utilities who are going to get to keep their profits and won't have to put in scrubbers. And it's 3 countries, all tyrannies, Russia, of course, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. So they're the people who are going to win. It's not the coal mine. Even if coal was 1/3 of the price, they wouldn't be using it. Why? Because in eastern Kentucky, now I spent a lot of time, you guys know that, in eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia. When I started doing that work, it cost the companies, they had to move 3 tons of overburden to get 1 ton of coal. And that's the big metric that people use to judge whether coal is economic. Today, to get a ton of coal in those regions, you have to move 16 tons of rock. It's just not economic for anybody. And there's never going to be a coal plant built again in this country. And even India is now canceling its orders for coal plant. China's doing the same thing, isn't it? And you know what? The markets already know this. The market saw it before anybody. The top 50 coal companies in this country are now either in Chapter 11 bankruptcy or they're about to be in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The top 3 coal companies, Peabody, Arch, and Consolidated Consol, have lost 80% of their value in 2 years. So, look at what's happening elsewhere, you know, that the markets recognize. We built, in this country, more solar energy generation this year than all the incumbents combined. Coal, oil, natural gas, and nuke. So the markets know this. There are 59,000 coal miners left in America. There are 265,000 people working in the solar industry. There's 90,000 people working in the wind industry. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the #1 most sought after job in America today are wind turbine engineers. The solar industry jobs grew like 25% last year, and it's on traction to do the same thing this year and on into the future. The solar industry is growing at 17 times the rate of the rest of the economy. That and wind were the primary sources of energy for the entire British Empire. Free human labor. And everybody wanted to get rid of it, but because they thought it was immoral. It ruined spoiled the justification for the British Empire, and it was inefficient. But people argued that you can't get rid of it because slavery represented 25% of the GNP of Great Britain. It was the principal source of energy for the entire British Empire. People said it can't be done. We've got to move incrementally. We've got to move slowly. If we move precipitously, we're going to cause these grave dislocations in the marketplace. So that's what happens when you transfer from one form of energy to another. But guess what? The British Parliament in 1806 made a vote based upon a moral decision. And they said, we are going to ban the slave trade. And instead of collapsing, the British economy exploded as thousands of entrepreneurs rushed into that space to create new forms of energy from mainly mechanical ones. And in an era that we now know as the Industrial Revolution, which was the greatest epic in wealth creation in the history of mankind. And the abolition of the slavery exposed all of these hidden inefficiencies that were associated with free human labor. Well, today, we know that the biggest drag on capitalism in our country is our deadly addiction to carbon. And, and we have, unfortunately, a president who has become possessed by the carbon barons and has landed on the side, essentially, of the slaveholders in what is the new Civil War. And you remember what the slaveholders were willing to do to hold on to their industry? They were willing to destroy this country, to get rid of the government. They were willing to kill 669,000 Americans in order to hold on to that profit margin. And carbon has a profit margin that is 1,000 times larger than slavery. So you know they're going to fight for it, but it's archaic. It's dead. There's no economic justification for it left. So how do they do it? Well, we know how they do it. They have the Koch brothers. And the Koch brothers put $900 million into the last election. That's roughly the same amount of money as the Republican Party put into the election. It's roughly, which was $1 billion, it's roughly the same amount of money that the Democratic Party put in, which was around $1 billion too. Oh, you know, you have two brothers now. I asked this question a couple of years ago. Do you think the Koch brothers are putting $900 million into the American election to capture Congress because of some humanitarian impulse? Do you think that they are putting $900 million into the American election because of patriotic impulse? Because they care about our people, our environment, our history, our values? No. The reason they're putting $900 billion is because they own refineries in this country that can process at full output, put 600,000 barrels of oil a day. And their plan was to get that oil from the Alberta tar sands and from the Bakken crude. So they bought $65 billion worth of tar sands oil. And the only way they can get it here is by building the XL pipeline. And the only way they can get their Bakken crude is by building the DAPL pipeline. So, and we're seeing this all over. If you're a river keeper, if you're a water keeper, the chances are you're fighting a pipeline. Why are they building this pipeline? Not just to get the oil to the market, but they understand that inertia, that their ally, their biggest ally against the transition to clean energy is inertia. And how do you engineer inertia? With infrastructure. So there are $23 trillion of oil infrastructure in this country today. Gas stations, pipelines, drilling platforms, etc. 23 trillion. And they're betting that we won't walk away from that. But what are they doing to ensure we don't walk away from that? They are scrambling to build pipelines as fast as they can everywhere. To make it, because when they build DAPL, you know, it's not Energy Transfer Partners who puts up the investment. It's Donald Trump and Shell Oil who put $2 million into that. It's the pension funds. It's Goldman Sachs. It's Wells Fargo. It's Citibank. It's Morgan. So you have, it's the teachers and the firefighters and CalPERS. So you have all of these power centers in American society who are now vested in making sure there is oil traveling through that pipeline for the next 30 years, 30 years after any justification, any economic justification for that form of energy is completely evaporated. They will still have it going through that line because so many people who are powerful need it to be going through that line. And they're building coal transfer stations, and Brent is fighting and killing those. And they're building on the West Coast, and they're on the East Coast and West Coast. They're building LNG facilities, and they're building oil terminals in the Gulf on the East and the West Coast, and they're putting bomb trains in and new rails. And all of this infrastructure that's designed to take oil and coal, dirty carbon, and send it to somebody who will buy it. And that is their plan. And then, of course, they're trying to kill wind and solar. So they're going to, for example, Arizona, which was a booming solar state. People put solar on their houses and got long-term contracts from the utilities to pay them back for 20 years, and it made it very profitable. Well, the Koch brothers sent ALEC in there, American Legislative Exchange Council, and killed all of those existing contracts. So they killed solar in the state of Arizona. Can you imagine that? They tried to do the same thing in Florida. They're doing it in every state. They've gone, today we were talking about FERC. Some of you don't know what FERC is, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. It's supposed to serve the public interest. It does not. It serves the Koch brothers' interest. It is a sock puppet for the oil industry. So, and what does FERC do? FERC they have made it almost impossible to build a transmission line in this country, and we need transmission for wind and solar. That's our medium. And they made it very easy to build a pipeline. So in the United States, we've built, in the last 12 years, 16,000 miles of pipeline and only 600 miles of transmission line. That's the Koch brothers' strategy. And in order to engineer that strategy, they need to corrupt our political system. They need to capture the agencies that are supposed to protect Americans from big industry and the oil companies and pollution, like FERC and like EPA. So they put Scott Pruitt as the head of EPA. Well, what's Scott Pruitt's qualification? He's never called himself an environmentalist. He hates the environment. His only qualification is that he sued EPA 14 times and vowed to destroy the agency. And they made him head of the agency. How about Rick Perry? Rick Perry, during the campaign, and you know Rick Perry is governor of Texas, Rick Perry ran against Donald Trump. What was Donald Trump's opinion of him? He called him an idiot. He called him a dimwit. He said the only reason that he bought glasses is because it was the only way that he could make himself look smart. And he put this guy in charge of a nuclear repository in our country. And when Rick Perry was asked during the campaign, what do you think of the Energy Department? He said, I'm going to abolish it. And he was asked a follow-up question. What does it do? Hell, I don't know. He's running it now. So, and then, you have the same thing Ryan's thinking, and you have the biggest oil man in America running our foreign policy, Rex Tillerson. So, who's going to win? Who, by the way, has his own $65 billion deal with Putin. It's like, you have to be stupid not to see what's going on. If you're not alarmed, you're not paying attention. Okay? So we got these guys, and by the way, Steve Bannon, who is responsible for these appointments. Steve Bannon spoke before CPAC recently. And the CPAC people were saying, because there's some people, smart people in there, they're bad people, but they're smart, and they said to him, why would you put these idiots? They literally said this. You got this question. Why would you put these incompetent idiots in charge of the principal organs of our government? And you know what Steve Bannon answered? It was very candid. He said, because our overarching plan is the deconstruction of the administrative state. What does that mean? We intend to destroy the federal government. As with Grover Norquist, who is the architect of the conservative revolution, said 10 years ago. He said, I don't want to destroy the government, I just want to shrink it so much that I can take it into a bathtub and drown it. Oh, when was the last time somebody wanted to destroy the government? Well, it was during the Civil War, when a group of immoral energy barons, slaveholders, said, in order to keep this profit making enterprise going, we need to destroy the federal government. So that's the same thing they're doing today. And I want to say this, because this is important for Americans and Chinese and Indians and Bengalis and Black Americans, everybody to understand. And it's part of American history, because we invented modern democracy on this planet. When we made democracy here in 1776, it was the first democracy since Athens. By 1865, during the Civil War, there were 6 democracies on the planet. Now, there's 220. So we were the model, we're the exemplary nation. And people always looked to us. When I was a little boy, I went to, after my uncle was assassinated, I went to Europe with my father. And I went to Germany and Czechoslovakia and Poland and communist countries, and France and England and Greece. And wherever we went, hundreds of thousands of people. The Poles blocked all news of our arrival, and yet 1 million people met us in Krakow Square and lifted up our car, singing to us, all of them waving American flags. We don't know where they got them from, in a communist country. People loved our country. They saw it, they thought of us, they looked for us for leadership, and they knew the difference between leadership and bullying. And they looked to us for moral authority. And they wanted to model their nations, their justice systems, their voting systems on what we created here. From the beginning of American history, our most visionary political leaders, Thomas Jefferson, Madison, Adams, Hamilton, everybody warned. Jefferson did not want, they warned again. We know, what the conservatives say. They say that big government is a big threat to democracy. And it's true. Big government is a huge threat to democracy. When big government comes and is torturing people, or they're eavesdropping on us, reading our emails, putting us in jail without lawyers, holding us without trial, and all these other shenanigans that they started doing since 9/11. That is a real danger. The traditional conservatives, that's what they were scared of. When they talked about big government, they were talking about intrusive, tyrannical government. The conservatives today, that's not what they're talking about. They just don't want to pay their taxes. They don't care if they, haul Muslims off the street and lock them in jail. They just don't want to pay taxes. So, but big government is a danger, and it's always been recognized as a danger. But our most visionary political leadership, from the beginning of American history, has always recognized that the larger threat to democracy and our values is excessive corporate power. Thomas Jefferson did not want to grant corporate charters. He wanted to make it illegal for the states to do it, because he said they're going to take over. They're going to dominate. They'll become so powerful. They'll agglomerate power, and they'll wipe out democracy. We can't let them do this. It's inevitable. Teddy Roosevelt, a Republican, said that American democracy would never be destroyed by a foreign enemy. But he warned that our beloved democratic institutions would be subverted by malefactors of great wealth who would steal them from within. Dwight Eisenhower, a Republican, in his most famous speech ever, warned Americans against the domination by the military-industrial complex. And in his original speech, he said military-industrial corporate complex. Abraham Lincoln, the greatest Republican in history and the greatest president in history, the founder of the Republican Party, said in 1863, during the height of the Civil War, I have the South behind me, or I have the South in front of me, and I have the bankers behind me. And for my nation, I fear the bankers more. And Franklin Roosevelt, during World War II, when he was fighting fascism, said that, was asked to define fascism. And he said, fascism is the domination of government by corporate power. And Benito Mussolini, who had an insider's view of that process, said exactly the same thing. he complained that fascism should not be called fascism, it should be called corporatism, because it was a merger of state and corporate power, and provide our children the same opportunities for dignity, enrichment, prosperity, good health, and clean water that our parents gave us. And that's our job, that's our mission, that's who we are, and all of us, I have to tell you, everyone here has a story, and all of your stories are extraordinary. Every one of you is a hero in your own right. And I am so proud that my life at this time has had me cross paths with so many people that I love and that I admire. And I just pledge to you that, like I always do, that I will be standing beside you, shoulder to shoulder, fighting this fight in the streets, in the ballot box, in the courtroom, in Asia, in Latin America, in Mexico, wherever there's a bully beating up somebody who's trying to fight for democracy, wherever there's a polluter filling a stream, or poisoning waters, or corrupting government officials, we're going to be there as an organization, whatever country you're in. And I'm going to be there, and I promise you, as I always do, I'm going to die with my boots on, fighting beside you on this battle, because this is the most important battle in human history. We're fighting for the survival of democracy, the survival of our values, the survival of our children, and the survival of our planet. And I want to pledge my allegiance to you and my love for you, and thank you for all the sacrifices.